We could use some good financial news, and the government just released the October Consumer Price Index report. And to help us analyze, I say help us analyze, to analyze and then dumb down for us what this means for inflation, we are joined by CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Good morning, Jill. How are those prices doing?
Good morning. We are doing well. We're moving in the right direction, and that is great news. Consumer prices 3.2% higher from a year ago. Remember, we were all the way up above 9% in the summer of 2022. We're now at 3.2%, so there's progress. The core rate was up 4% from a year ago. That core rate strips out food and energy because those are volatile areas. Interestingly, that 4% rate, it's the best reading in just over 2 years. We saw improvements in gas prices. Gas prices were down 5% in the month alone. Used car prices are down 7% from a year ago. Grocery store prices, not every single item, I get it, but overall grocery store prices up by 2.1% from a year ago. Should be a little bit easier to shop for Thanksgiving this year.
I would think so, and I know there's still some skepticism out there. There's a lot of turmoil. Of course, Ukraine is ongoing, the Middle East. When we talk about gas prices and the potential for a more widespread conflict there, the inflation numbers that are down seem to have stalled a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting problem for the Federal Reserve. I call it a last mile problem. You know, that's the phrase that describes the retail supply chain, right? Think about this. You place your order for your good and it travels hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles really quickly. That's like the Fed. Went from 9.1% inflation to the threes pretty quickly, right? Within about a year. But it's the last mile of getting a product to a consumer, which is really expensive and can really be disastrous if something goes wrong. For the Fed, that last mile is getting from this rate today, which is lower from the peak for sure, down to its 2% target. So I think when we're looking ahead at inflation, it's probably going to be many more months before the Fed is satisfied that their job is done.
And would you think that at that time then we would see some movement back on interest rates? What's it going to take to do that?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I think this is what the investment community is attempting to figure out right now. So today we have a big rally after this news because now it's almost universally believed that the Fed is done raising rates. But done raising doesn't do anything about lowering. And the Fed has already said, they're on the record, Jay Powell spoke last week, that they are not going to think about cutting interest rates until people have the feeling that inflation is no longer a problem. By the way, we had a University of Michigan sentiment survey which showed that young people and people with lower incomes are still very spooked about interest rates and inflation. And until those readings come down, I don't think the Fed wants to start tinkering with lowering interest rates.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But you know what? We'll take this good news because we've needed this for a while. It'll be a nice rally today, and hopefully we can see some more numbers down the road. Jill, thank you so much as always. You can see Jill regularly on CBS Mornings and the CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell. For more analysis, go to Jill on Money.